Welcome to the Hamumu Halloween Home Horror Hoedown, the podcast where we watch scary movies so you don't have to.
From award-winning to completely unknown, we take them all way too seriously.
I'm your host, Mike Hommel.
And I'm your host, Solange Hommel.
Now, warning, we use a ghoulish number of spoilers, so watch the movies first.
Second warning, we don't know anything about anything, so don't take us seriously as we take these movies seriously.
Our film for this week is entitled The Deadly Spawn from 1983.
And I'm sure you can guess from that title and that era that this is a high-quality film.
Yeah, it definitely has all of the 80s in it, and that's nice to see. And a lot of deadly spawn, and a lot of corn syrup.
Yes. We see in the intro an asteroid or meteorite, or I don't know, they said what it was, what they thought it was. Something falls out of space, there's fire, there's a hot rock, it's glowing red. Those guys were like all about it. And immediately they get eaten by the thing that came out of that rock. But that thing we only see in shadow puppetry, basically.
Yeah, in that scene, yeah. And
it has, like, there's the part of it that's shaped like Godzilla. Uh-huh. Then there's, like, a scorpion tail.
And there's some grasshopper legs.
Yes, or, like, praying mantis legs, maybe. Even. It's the weirdest combination of things. And then when we actually see it, it looks like the Audrey 2 from Little Shop of Horrors.
It's got kind of the main tube with a weird mouth, and then like two little tubes with sort of claws.
Yeah. I mean, it's mostly a giant mouth with cartoon teeth.
Yeah. There's a lot of thousands of teeth too. I'm kind of impressed.
Rows upon rows.
The modeling on this creature is like it's got lots of teeth, but then they just kind of continue on down smaller and smaller and smaller until they're just little dots.
Also, if you look at those teeth, if we look at this through a biological lens, like a studying of what we know about animals, if someone were to find the skull of this creature, I mean, I don't know what its bones and stuff look like, but it found its teeth, it would assume that we are looking at an herbivore because those were very round teeth.
Well, it's very reminiscent of like those kind of super ultra drills you use to drill out like tunnels for cars, you know, where there's like a drill bit, but it's covered with lots of round things that are covered with spikes and they all spin.
But there's no spikes anywhere. There's not a sharp point to be found, is my point.
The premise is that these teeth were sharp, but they were like curving to where they were overly curved is the thing. It was like a grinding situation.
They looked very round.
But it had no problem biting onto someone and just pulling their head off.
Oh, for sure. Peeling. It had a number of things. Like, it could just rip a whole limb off. It could pull their whole head off in one bite. It could also peel their skin off their face.
Yeah, there's nuance to this variety of teeth that it had available.
Yeah. I don't know how it was doing that with the nubbly stubs that it appeared to have.
Well, and we see the whole life cycle of this creature because we meet the tiny little slugs that start out.
Like its larval stage.
Yeah, and then there's like a bigger slug also. Really, it's a slug the whole time.
Right, but the initial stage is sort of like a tadpole. Like it has like a little tail and it's just it just
squirms along.
Yeah, just like mud hopping through the water.
Production note: to make those worms squiggle through the water in the basement, they just carved grooves in the floor and pulled them with a string, and so they would wiggle through the groove.
Oh, that's very clever, actually.
It was very wiggly.
Yeah. I did like the wiggly stage. And then the bigger slug stage, but that has like a little red mouth and starting to have teeth and, you know.
Yeah, these guys, like, because they had so many teeth, their mouths couldn't close. And they were like, they didn't fit together because it was just teeth bending out in every direction. Mm-hmm. Very strange creature, but we're just not used to it. It's alien.
And then it got just bigger. And I guess that's when it starts to get sort of limbs.
Yeah.
So This creature might have fallen within the, like, amphibian category because it started very tadpole-like and ended up having limbs that it grew at some stage in the process.
Yeah, I think there was an intermediate one that had some sort of little limbs, and probably grasshopper legs.
Maybe.
I don't know.
And then it just keeps getting bigger, which is an interesting thing because they do talk about, they keep finding bigger and bigger versions of it. And, you know, they make this point about how it just keeps growing. And then the very final scene, the very final shot takes place on the Beetlejuice set.
Amazing that they used that before they made Beetlejuice.
No, I was so mad at the beginning because they're shooting this like exterior shot of a house on a hill with some forest. And I'm like, why are we using what is clearly a model?
A train set.
Yes. Like, why are we doing this? This is ridiculous. You couldn't find an exterior shot of a house. And then the very last shot is we're back on the train set. We're back in the Beetlejuice model. And then the mountainside next to the house opens up and it is one of these creatures.
There was no mountain.
They just keep growing.
It's like, you know, you end your horror movie with the villain's arm popping out of the grave and you're like, oh no. And the problem with that scenario is that the monster is still there, so you haven't solved anything. In this movie, it's going the next step, which is not only is this still going on, but it's 1,000 times worse than it was during this movie.
Yeah.
Don't you wish we made another movie?
I do not.
I do not either.
Yeah, that is what they were doing, though. And again, I start thinking about it in like a biological sense. And I'm like, oh, they must come from perhaps a planet that has a much higher gravity, or that there's something about the planet they're from that prevents them from continuing to grow forever. Or maybe they just grow forever. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. It's just a real big planet. Lots of room.
Maybe.
That wouldn't really help.
But also then why didn't a ginormous version of them show up? Why did we start with a small version?
Well, it's like in Superman. Their planet was in trouble and they launched a baby away to our planet to visit us.
Oh, and he was supposed to become our king.
Yeah. That's actually the plot of the cartoon series Invincible, which I watched without you. It's exactly the same. It's only in this case, the guy who comes is evil because he knows that he's there to rule over us. But he has a son with one of the people on Earth who also turns out to be a superhero. And so the dad is like, oh, great. Now I can teach him, once his powers come into being, now I can teach him to rule the Earth with me. And once the son figures that out, he's like, this is awful. I've been raised human. What is going on? Anyway. It's irrelevant to this, but it was funny to me in Superman, which is not the movie we're reviewing, that they took that exact idea from Invincible, which is very popular.
I mean, this wasn't a concept in Superman originally.
Don't ask me. It probably was. Probably Invincible stole it. I don't know. Yeah.
There is none of that emotional nuance in...
No?
This film that we are actually reviewing.
What's in this film. I found it fascinating the number of different like nods to realism in this movie, I guess I would call them.
You might have to elaborate some given what we've said so far.
Yeah. There were so many things in this movie that were just unique ideas, weird things that had nothing to do with the plot of the movie. Like, for example, the grandma was a vegetarian, and we got deeply into that issue. And she was having her vegetarian dinner party with her vegetarian dinner buddies. And so there was a lot of discussion about that and what it meant. And like, so like things like that, chunks of the movie taken up on whatever weird esoteric issue that has nothing to do with the fact that aliens are attacking. It was fascinating to me that the writers put thought and effort into these ideas.
I'm curious. I would love to delve into the brains of the people who made this movie and find out, was that because they wanted to have a moment where they focused on vegetarianism? Like, was there a purpose to that?
Oh, maybe the whole thing was made by PETA. Because it did make meat eating look kind of bad.
It really did. Or was that you know how often in this sort of movie, they're trying to get an idea across and you're like, oh my gosh, why didn't someone edit this scene? None of this was necessary. You could have gotten the point that you were trying to get across much faster. And in this case, all of that, was it just a vehicle so that we could watch this one little slug guy crawl into the blender and the funny joke is that these vegetarians were eating alien flesh?
They did not like the taste of it.
They did not. I mean, those things did not look like they tasted good.
No. Neither did green sauce. Oh my gosh. Her famous green sauce on brown rice was horrifying.
Did it always look like that?
I don't know.
Or did it look like that because it had alien in it?
I mean, this was just after the 70s. This was 1983.
That's true.
So it was probably supposed to look like that.
That is true.
And she's like, well, I made perfect green sauce. And then she didn't know there was a slug in it.
Yeah, until they tasted it.
Yeah, everyone was upset.
And then immediately, like, there's the one slug, no one knows anything is going on. One slug gets into the blender, they taste it, and immediately there are slug babies everywhere, just gnawing on all the grandmas.
Yeah, somebody knocks down a painting that's on the wall, and behind it on the wall, there's like 3 or 4 slugs just stuck to the wall. It was really upset. I have nightmares very much like that, where just like what happens, I can tell what's going on is my brain is like, it gets to yikes, a crab. Like crabs are kind of creepy. And then from there, it just multiplies endlessly to where I'm like trying to walk across a room where the whole floor is all crabs and I'm like stepping between them and it's so upsetting.
Well, because there's a thing that I've noticed my brain does where it's like, even if it's something cute, there's like, one crab is manageable, one frog is cute, one otter is adorable.
Oh,
like
I would take
one of
1,000
anything.
otters.
I would not. I would not. Here's the thing. I think bunnies are adorable. And then there's a threshold. And it's different for different kinds of creatures, I think. But there is always a threshold where I'm like, there are too many of these. I am now very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And these were alien monsters, so the threshold was very low.
Yes, I think 1 was probably enough.
Yeah.
But they just really delved into these things where it felt like in normal like movie writing, like what a movie writing class would teach you would be like, so you introduce somebody who has this particular skill because then you connect that to the story so that their skill figures into what's happening. They didn't do that. They just had random people with random interests and abilities.
I feel like the teenagers were supposed to be doing that.
Yes, the science teenagers.
Okay, so there's 4 teenagers. Now keep in mind, this is like the mid 80s. So particularly the teenage women look like they're in their 30s.
Yeah.
Because teenage hair in the 80s was something. But there's four teenagers. One of them is like the sciencey, knowledgeable guy who's nerdy, but not so nerdy that he looks nerdy, right? Like he's got a nerdy brain, but a sexy hot body. Then there's his buddy, and I don't know if they're actually friends or what. Like he's supposed to be tutoring him to get him ready for some biology test or something. Tutoring. And he is a dummy, maybe a jock, but really like he comes on and he's wearing overalls with like one strap done. Like these are suburban kids. Like these are not kids who live on a farm. This guy shows up and he looks like he just fell off the turnip truck.
Yeah.
And he is dumb as a box of rocks.
Yeah, he's the one who just does not know what they're talking about. And he's like, what do you mean?
Which is too bad for him because he's the one who says, like, there's this thing. I saw this thing. And the science guy is like, no, you didn't. That's not real. That couldn't happen. Yeah. And so Box of Rocks has a girlfriend.
Well, he has an interest.
Okay, there's 2 girls. The thing is, the one girl that we see through most of the movie is like going to the movies with Box of Rocks, but I guess isn't really dating him because then Science Boy decides that he's got a crush on this girl. And so then like they start becoming friends and whatever, and they're starting to date. And then she promptly gets eaten. Yeah. But then there's another girl who comes who apparently is the girl that Box of Rocks really wants to date. And so that happens for a while, but then
Yeah, it's the girl he has a crush on.
Yeah.
And she's got some interest in the hayseed.
And the girls have, of course, very little personality or individualism because it's
One
the
of them
80s.
is smart.
Well, right. One is smart and the other one
Is not.
has emotions. Unlike any of the other people in the movie.
Oh, that's so true. She comes into this movie and she acts, and nobody else tried that.
I mean, she doesn't act well.
She emoted multiple times, and nobody else was even considering that could be a thing in movies.
Did she feel like she was chewing the scenery, melodramatic acting, or is that just in comparison to the rest of them? Because I felt like she was very over the top.
I thought, I was glad. I felt like, oh, right, that's what people do. Like,
Yeah.
she was reacting to things because people like there's like a 3-hour long scene in this movie where the young boy we haven't mentioned yet, he sees he goes down into the basement and he sees the monster in the basement. He sees his mom's face being chewed apart by the monster. She's long dead at this point. And all the slimy slugs all around the monster are coming and wandering around the room, and he just stands there looking at all of it, and there's nothing on his face. It's not a look of horror. It's just blank for 3 hours.
For a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And it's just like that shot, cut to the monster, cut to his face, cut to the monster, cut to his face. I'm like, you don't need to cut to his face. He's not doing anything.
There's no more information there.
No. And everybody was sort of like that. They like walk in to the room where their uncle is, who was a sketchy sort of therapist guy. That was interesting.
He was trying to exploit his
nephew. Yeah. So they walk in there and he's being like sucked dry by these creatures, and they all are just sort of like, oh no.
Yeah, he was already dead too. And he had like slugs all throughout his body coming out.
Was that the one where one burst out of his chest?
Something like one came out of his eye socket. It was not okay.
Yeah. And they just were like, no. What?
Oh, this little slug we found turns out is a bad thing.
Yeah. Of course, Science Dude is having to process the fact that this thing he insists doesn't exist does in fact exist. And Box of Rocks is like, see, I told you.
Yeah, there was a lot of argument. They dissected a dead one of the slugs, and Smart Girl was like, his organs are all mixed up. They're not what they should be. And they were like, oh, whatever. And she's like, could it be alien? They're like, nah, it's nothing, whatever.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah. Okay, so this other boy. So there's the teenagers, and then there's the younger brother, I guess?
Of them?
Of Smart Guy. Smart Guy.
Okay.
Science Guy. Because they both live in this house.
Along with the entire family tree.
Right? Their parents are there and they leave early. They write a note about how they're going somewhere.
We never find out what their goal is.
I feel like they were maybe going hiking or camping or
the movie
I don't know.
Opens with the husband like forcibly trying to get his wife to get up to go to this thing because we have to do it or we're going to be late. And
she's mad because the weather is bad.
Yeah.
And it's not clear whether that's really how they wanted the story to go or if they had to rewrite the story because it was pouring rain while they were filming.
Yeah, it's pouring down the entire movie.
Yeah. So anyway, Mom and Dad write a note on the fridge saying like, oh, we've gone out even though the weather's bad. Doesn't my husband suck? And then they both go down into the basement individually and get eaten.
Yeah, well, the husband goes down and then the wife is looking for him because he disappeared.
Right. So they get eaten very early on. And then the aunt and uncle are there looking after these two boys. And the aunt and uncle get eaten. And grandma goes to...
No, the aunt left and went over to grandma's for the exciting vegetarian dinner.
Is that how I was so confused about how the aliens got to grandma's house. Did they hitchhike over with the aunt?
Could be, or they are just everywhere.
I mean, I guess they were
already.
just everywhere. Yeah.
Who knows?
Because they came from out in the woods. So the uncle gets eaten. The aunt goes over to grandma's. They get attacked over there. The teenage friends come over. They're being attacked. And then there's this younger brother who, like we said, has no emotions whatsoever, but is also the only one, including his science-minded brother, older teenage brother, who has any kind of like scientific process to to understand what's going on.
Yeah, he's the hero.
He figures out that they are only responding to sound.
Yeah, that's part of his standing there for an hour in the basement, is he's realizing that they can't see him and they're hunting by sound.
Yes. So then he, a couple different times, uses sound like the radio or a head on a stick that he uses ventriloquism on to get the monsters to attack something other than himself. But like, okay, the head on the stick one made me mad because yes, I understand that you have the head on the stick, hold it out in a place that's not where you are.
Yeah.
But then the head on a stick isn't making any noise, so then the kid decides to make noise.
Though, because the monster was already coming that way, and he held out the head on a stick, hoping the monster would get to it and be like, "Here's the head that was making noise," and try to eat it. And then like the monster slowed down and was like, "Oh, there's nothing here," and didn't quite get to the head. So he's like, "Oh no, I need some way to get him to keep going."
But then we're supposed to believe that this creature whose entire mode of processing the world around it is through sound is tricked by him making the noise for the head, which is 3 feet away from him.
Well, he had to go through that space to get to the boy.
I guess.
And he bumped the head and was like, "Here it is."
I don't know. I don't buy it.
But this kid was obsessed with horror movies and tried to scare his parents with that was another example. He tried to scare his parents by, dressing up in costume.
No, his uncle, because his uncle, during the like weird psychology moment that he had with his nephew, was like, maybe sometime you should dress up and try to scare me.
And that was a perfect example of something that could have tied into the movie, where the uncle would think the kid was trying to scare him when really it was the monster or whatever.
I totally thought that was going to happen.
But instead, that's how the kid ended up in the basement, was apparently he thought his uncle was down there, and he went down there in his costume and was like, "Oh, I'm going to scare him down here." I don't know. It didn't make any sense. It wasn't required for that to happen. It was just him going to that space. So all of these things just didn't connect up. They were just random.
There were just so many missed opportunities.
Yeah, it was wild how they just, even things like the horror movie thing, which made perfect sense to tie in. It was like, ooh. It's like when the music won't go to the note that it's supposed to, and it just leaves you hanging. That was a whole lot of that. Now, the one thing they did was his horror movie knowledge meant that he was able to use his flash powder that he uses to make puffs of smoke. He put it in the head on a stick, got the monster to eat it, and then...
It blew the monster up?
Oh, yeah, he used... I forgot. He plugged it into the wall. He had, like, wires touching his bottle of flash powder, and an extension cord, and it was a whole thing that made no physical sense to get electricity to it to, bam, blow up the flash powder and kill the monster, because flash powder that makes little puffs of smoke definitely is going to...
I mean, and blow up the monster like gobs of flesh flew from off screen. Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Definitely the ultimate weapon.
Ratings. So, The Deadly Spawn, I feel like it's unfortunate that I watched it when I did, because I watched it when my brain was very disengaged. So when I was watching, when I was really paying attention, it was a scream at the screen kind of a movie. I was very entertained by how stupid and annoying everything was, and all the things that I was like, that doesn't make any sense. Why is that happening? Which I find quite fun and entertaining. But there were a lot of times where I realized I wasn't paying attention at all. And suddenly was like, oh, wait, whose house are we at now? What's happening?
That's a reviewer failure.
I know. So but was it also just not holding my attention very well? That's my dilemma. I think there's a part of it that is a me problem, but definitely a part of it is a movie problem. That said, I love a Mystery Science Theater type movie that is so problematic that you can't help but talk to it.
Yeah.
And this was that in spades, and had lots and lots of opportunity for like making jokes and, you know, and enjoying it. Yeah. So because I like that kind of movie, I am going to rate this higher than it definitely deserves. I'm going to give it 3 ski poles out of 5.
Okay.
And those ski poles are because it was fun to hate.
Sure.
Just to be very clear.
Was it so bad it's good?
To me, yes. I don't know that it would, that would, like, it would meet the threshold for that for most people. But for me, it definitely was. It reminded me, I mean, that 80s vibe, right? Like that 80s vibe. It kind of reminded me, this is going further back, but it's sort of the level of like Frogs, where there's just so much.
There's so much.
So yeah, it's very middle of the road for me, but definitely it's one of those ones that you want to watch if you are looking for ridiculousness and like silly monster environmental horror kind of movie, rather than anything of any kind of seriousness.
Yeah. I think it has its moments, like when the girl's head gets eaten and her headless body flops out the window.
Oh, I forgot.
It was pretty good.
The like crash test dummy gets thrown out the window,
but with no head.
Yeah,
that's fun. The end with the mountain opening up, that was delightful. So I don't know. It's obviously extremely low budget, and like they did not do a great job with the effects or anything, but in a way that's fun to see. Like it almost, like I would say, the acting fails it, where the bad effects were fun. The acting wasn't even fun. It was just dead. Everyone in this movie was dead before the monsters got there. Except Kathy, who showed up and brought some emotions. And I
hysterical emotions. That. Like a true 80s woman.
Wow. How anti-feminist of you.
Yeah.
I support Kathy.
Okay.
And as such, I would give this 2.5 ski poles out of 5. I think it was fun, but I think it's not in the top tier that you're going to really love doing that too. But I would watch this, in the afternoon.
That brings up a good point. Would I make someone watch this movie? 100%.
You would.
I would 100% make someone who I knew enjoyed hating on movies like that. I would, if I were going to have a party where we're going to watch a movie that we can like throw popcorn at the screen and be upset about, Frogs would be one of them, and this movie would be another one, and then the Land Shark would be the third.
I mean, I put Land Shark far beyond this. Like that's
for sure.
Ideal.
For sure.
But yeah.
And we just watched one recently that was like that.
Shark Exorcist.
Oh, yes. See, those are all... I would include this movie in that collection of like... I would watch this again just to watch someone else be shocked by it.
I would too, but again, I would put it way behind those, which is why it's only 2.5 for me. I would watch Shark Exorcist. Like, I'll watch Shark Exorcist again. I would watch Land Shark again.
We have watched Land Shark for the purpose of making other people watch Land Shark.
This movie, I'm not interested in watching again. I'm willing to do it because it'd be fun to have the other people around to do it, but it's not drawing me.
Sure. That's fair. That's fair. All right.
I feel like we've done back-to-back trash.
I mean, here's the thing. The world is back-to-back trash.
That is true.
And when I sit down to watch a movie these days, I think like if I see a movie where I'm like, oh, there's any kind of emotional weight to it whatsoever, or I'm going to have to put any kind of like real effort into understanding this movie, or like have to feel feelings because of this movie, I get immediately exhausted and decide I can't possibly watch that movie. And I don't think that's just a horror thing. Like, same goes for like TV shows, everything. Right now, my entertainment has to be like uplifting and distracting.
Yeah, I get that. For years, I've had a really hard time with dramatic TV shows. Like, I watch a few episodes, I'm like, that was really good, but it's too much work. It's too hard to watch that.
Yeah. That said, we do keep talking about how we should probably watch The Substance.
Yeah.
So maybe at some point, I'm not saying we're watching it next week. I'm just saying, like, at some point we might be watching that movie, except that every time we think about it, I get overwhelmed.
Okay.
So.
What a deal.
All right. Well, I guess we'll be back next week.
Because we're off for our pontoon weekend now.
Pontoon weekend.
See you later.
Bye.
Francis, I'm clawing the couch.
Maybe, do you like that voice?
Francis, give me snackies. Give me snackies, Francis.